Hello and welcome to Union Strong, NJS PBA Voices podcast. I'm your host, Vinny Rizzo, and this is episode 3. Today we will be sitting down with Pat Papero, the New Jersey State PBA's newest labor relations specialist. Pat has been an officer with the Mercer County Sheriff's Office since 2001, where he spent the majority of his career in the airport and canine units. He has served as Mercer County Sheriff's Officers Local 187's delegate since 2007 and has served on several committees such as the Collective Bargaining, Judiciary, Legislative, and Political Action Committees. Pat is also a member of the New Jersey State PBA's Peer Response Team and has also been the chairman of the Sheriff's Committee and also was the chairman of the Mercer County PBA Conference. Pat has been a dedicated member of the now renamed Collective Negotiations Committee since 2015, where he has found his passion in helping our members in regard to labor relations. He has been a commissioner on the Public Employment Relations Commission, also known as PERC, since 2018. So, Pat, how are you adjusting to the new labor relations job?
Well, it's been a fun ride. I'm very blessed to be in the position where I can help all of our members. I'm blessed that the fact that I can help the younger members educate themselves and hopefully teach them as much as I can. It's been a learning curve. It's different from being at work in uniform, but I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Yeah, man, one day at a time, right? Obviously, not everything's always perfect. Like you were saying, there's obstacles. What are those obstacles that you've faced so far?
Not enough hours in the day. With as many members as we have and the constant turnover with the delegates and presidents, the challenging part is trying to get back to everyone that emails or calls, trying to make sure we spend enough time with each one and answer as many questions as we can.
Yeah, I mean, I've known you for a long time, so I know that I kind of chuckled at that not enough hours in the day thing because you are so hands-on and you want to give that personal touch to all of our members. So I know that's probably something that you struggle with, but again, it's a good problem to have with having somebody like you in that position.
It's also a challenge. It's been an obstacle to stay seated behind the desk because I'm so used to being up, moving around. So it's been a small obstacle, but an enjoyable obstacle.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. What are the most common types of questions you've been asked about in your new role?
A lot of questions, a lot of requests for information, people that are in contract negotiations, maybe some locals that have some disputes going on with their administration. But again, most of it is all about contract and interest arbitration, and that leads to what my presentation is going to be about. It's about interest arbitration and the process and what the real numbers are.
Awesome. You just touched on it. Our members are going to be treated to a 20-minute or so long presentation, something that you presented to our membership in Nashville, getting to see a more intimate version of that that's going to follow this segment. So we hope you enjoy that. It's informational and a great job done by Pat. Just a little housekeeping note. Pat's voiceover PowerPoint presentation will obviously be heard audio only on our podcast channel, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, etc. Or if you're listening to it embedded on our PBA website. To get the full effect, navigate over to YouTube and look up our channel, Union Strong NJS PBA Voices Podcast, to see all slides and obviously be treated to the informational voiceover portion as well.
All right, today we are going to discuss the biennial report of the PERC Commission on the Public and Fire Public Interest Arbitration Act. This is the 2024 report. The Police and Fire Public Interest Arbitration Act, commonly referred to as Reform Act or Interest Arbitration Law, took effect January 10th of 1996. The first major amendments were made in 2010 and took effect in 2011. In 2011 were the first major changes. It established a 2% cap on annual salary increases for interest arbitration awards, and it also fast-tracked interest arbitration and the appeals processes. And here's our guy, Chris Christie. He's the man to blame. In 2014, more changes came about. They made the first meeting of interest arbitration mandatory mediation session, increased the arbitrator's time to issue an award from 45 days to 90 days. Time to file an appeal was increased from 7 to 14 days. Also increased the time for the PERC Commission to decide on an appeal from 30 to 60 days, And it also increased arbitrator salaries from $7,500 to $10,000. In 2016, there were again changes. However, this provision has not been used since it was passed. This provision allowed the Director of Local Government Services in DCA to notify the Commission if a municipality is deemed in need of stabilization and recovery and will not participate in any impasse procedures. Again, this has not been used since 2016. So what is our report about? Our report is a summary, okay? It's the 2024 report. It talks about the Commission's actions to implement and administer the Reform Act in an impartial manner. It also provides historical data and information about the implementation and the impact of interest arbitration law. The years that it is focused on is 2022 and 2023. If you would like to see further reports, you can visit the PERC website or use the website that's listed below on the screen. First section is about interest arbitrators. Talks about the way an interest arbitrator is selected. Talks about cases that they range from simple to complex. So the interest arbitrator has to be able to deal with both. And it also talks about the number of arbitrators on the panel. Currently, we have 8 arbitrators. Now that number is a big deal because those 8 arbitrators are responsible for all public safety unions. So not just PBA, but also the other labor unions as well. Next, you'll see that there is a list of requirements for all the interest arbitrators. Okay, why are these challenging times? These are challenging times because, like I said, while the work demand continues to increase, there's only 8 arbitrators. So timeliness and deadlines become a big factor. Recruitment for interest arbitrators has become equally challenging. The reason is because of the rocket docket provisions. The deadline set by statute and the fee cap for the arbitrators has been the same for some time now. That deters a lot of qualified individuals from joining our interest arbitration panel. And once again, our friend bounces in from the top. So the road to an agreement, where are we going? What we're looking at here is a chart. This chart shows the 22 and 2023 numbers for private and public sector salaries. Okay. As we can see, we're going to concentrate on the blue line and on the yellow line. The blue line you can see is right around $75,000, and the yellow line is approximately $10,000 less. Okay. And again, that's starting in 2007, ranging all the way up to 2022. Next slide is going to be the same thing, private versus public salary comparison. Okay, you can see for 2020 and 2021, the private sector salary increase was 3.4%, whereas the public sector salary increase is 2.4%. 2021 to 2022, private sector is 2.9%, where public is 1.55%. So you see, we're starting to lose ground with the private sector jobs. What happens when we can't agree? When we can't come to an agreement on a contract, what happens next? We have impasse procedures in place. The first step when negotiations come to an impasse is mediation. Mediation is usually quicker and less expensive than arbitration. Either party may file for mediation, and after the notice is filed, a mediator is assigned to help reach an agreement. If the mediator is unable to help come to an agreement, a petition for interest arbitration can be filed. So how do the numbers compare? Again, this report examines 2022 and 2023 for those years. There were 22 impasse petitions filed for police and fire units. In the previous reports, again, each one being a 2-year increment, here are the numbers. You notice a very big drop off in 2016 and 2017, and we will get to that in a couple slides. A closer look into the past 2 years. At the time this report was released, of the 22 impasse petitions filed, 13 contracts were settled prior to interest arbitration. 9 were still in mediation. Again, another chart just showing the breakdown in 2023, for example, 23 interest arbitration petitions were filed. Arbitrators were assigned to each one. There were 12 voluntary settlements and 5 interest arbitration awards issued. What you have to remember is in some cases, petitions that were filed in 1 year might have had their arbitrators appointed or decisions issued in a later year. So the numbers may not add up. If you look at the 23, obviously 12 and 5 is only 17. The other cases did carry on into the future year. So awards that were appealed and resulted in a remand also are reported as being issued in the year the remand issue was awarded. In the previous 4 biennial reports from 2012 to 2019, the number of interest arbitration petitions files decreased significantly, and that's following the January 1st, 2011. The reason for that, very simple. That was the effective date of the initial 2% cap. The initial 2% cap law really hurt our negotiating ability. In 2014, that was our exception. And the reason that was the exception is that's when the expiration of PL 2010, there were 74 filings within a few days. They waited for that cap law to expire. As soon as it sunsetted, 74 different bargaining units filed for interest arbitration. Awards versus voluntary settlements. As in the prior few reports, the numbers remain low again. In the past 2 years, there were only 14 awards written, 9 in 2022 and 5 in 2023. Voluntary settlements came in at 7 in 2022 and 12 in 2023. The interesting comparison is that in the 3 years prior to the initial 2% cap, there were 48 voluntary settlements. That's a very staggering number. Okay, so the numbers don't lie, or do they? So my challenge to our members is to always educate themselves, especially with the big turnover due to retirements and the current state of the law enforcement environment and the law enforcement climate. We've had a huge turnover amongst our population. So I challenge everyone to educate themselves. If you'll notice, starting in 2016, going down to 2023, you'll see a big spike in those numbers. So my challenge is to educate yourself. So as I'm doing this and I refer people to this report, I have them come back to me and they say, hey, I saw there's 3.79 for interest arbitration award. You told me people aren't getting more than 2%. So what I have to say to that is very simple. The issue with how this is done is PERC only takes the reports that are given by the arbitrators. So if the arbitrator includes steps in their final report, PERC reports that as steps. So if you look at the bottom number for 2023, 3.79 is the reported number. However, there are steps included in one of those interest arbitration awards that was written. So the numbers, I don't want to say they're not totally true. However, the numbers are a little skewed because of the way that the interest arbitrator wrote the award. We'll get to that in a minute. Okay, and this is just an explanation of what I just said about the numbers being partially skewed because of the salary increments and the step increases. Okay, this is 2023. These are real numbers. These are the numbers when I took every decision, all 5 decisions, 1.915%. Now, that's a far cry from the over 3% that was reported. Okay? So when someone asks me what we're getting in PERC from interest arbitration, these are the more accurate numbers. In fact, those are the exact numbers for the past year for which everyone has received. 1.915% is the average around the state. Voluntary settlements made after filing for interest arbitration, again, a little higher than the average. So the average salary for 2022 and 2023 were 2.51 for 2022
2.53 for 2023. So it's close to being a full 2% plus steps, but it's still slightly below that. Again, just another number. From 1993 to 2011, you'll see this is the breakdown. This is the average salary increase that were reported from the settlements from interest arbitration. If you look back, going all the way back to January of 2011, it was only 1.87% because of the new 2% cap law. However, if you go all the way down, scroll down to 1993, you'll see the average was 5.56%. It's a far cry from where we are today. So who's to blame? Yeah, that's our guy sitting on the beach. Always had a different set of rules for us and for him, and we're still unfortunately being punished by some of those rules. So interest arbitration appeals is the next topic, and from 2016 to 2023, you'll see the numbers. There were 3 interest arbitration appeals to the commission in 2022 and 5 in 2023. Of those 8 appeals, 4 were withdrawn, 1 was dismissed for being filed prematurely, 1 was resulted in an unbreakable tie vote before the commission, and the rest were affirmed. And here you just have a further breakdown from 2016 to 2023, just showing exactly the numbers that I just said, except you have a deeper look into them. 5 appeals, 2 withdrawn, and 3 affirmed. Okay, PERC continues to track police and fire salaries statewide. This is for non-interest arbitration, non-interest arbitration agreements. So the reason I'm showing this is the collective negotiations agreement summary form. This is put out by PERC. It's supposed to be filled out, sent along with a contract to PERC so they can file on the website. So this guy on the right, our comptroller for the state of New Jersey, decided to put out a report. And in his article, he says 50% of school districts and more than 25% of municipalities have failed to properly submit union contracts. He did talk negatively about PERC. The only issue is PERC does not have disciplinary actions. They cannot take actions if people don't file their contracts. So it was an unfair article, and just wanted to point this out. Please make sure your municipality, your county, state agency sends your report along with your contract to the PERC office. For this reporting period, 2022 and 2023, the average annual salary increases in non-interest arbitration settlements is 4.20 in 2022 and 5.37 in 2023. Again, these numbers reported by PERC they only report what is given to them. So some of these numbers do include steps or increments. Some also include longevity, but we can only base it what has been reported to PERC. Again, we're talking here settled contracts versus arbitrated contracts. Blue is negotiated or settled. White is arbitrated. You can see it's a clear difference, a percentage higher for negotiated in 2022 and just about double in 2023. Okay, significant cases that we want to talk about. We're going to just touch on these briefly. Collingswood case, IAFF, Local 3249, and Borough of Collingswood. Local 3249 filed to initiate interest arbitration. The borough filed to dismiss due to still being under contract. PERC dismissed the interest arbitration petition and directed Local 3249 to file for mediation pursuant to NJAC 19:16-3.1. The commission or director may initiate mediation if an impasse exists. Okay, so filing for interest arbitration is not always the first step, and we talked about that already as well. Okay, docket number IA 2023-026 is the New Jersey State PBA State Law Enforcement Unit and the state of New Jersey. PERC denied the state of New Jersey's appeal in this case. It was an appeal of an interest arbitration award that awarded a provision allowing union officials to request full-time union leave. PERC found that state statutory preemption's claims is time-barred. That requires negotiability objections to be raised within certain timeframes. PERC also found the arbitrator's award regarding the increase of union time was based on substantial credible evidence. Another win for the labor unions. The next one is FMBA 202 in the city of Paterson. So Local 202 appealed the interest arbitration award, arguing the arbitrator improperly rejected its revised final offers. They mistakenly awarded its health benefits proposal and failed to consider the city's receipt of transitional aid. PERC found that Local 202's attorney made significant changes to their proposals instead of just providing new language. They attempted to merge 3 supervisory units, captains, battalion chiefs, and deputy chiefs, but with the time constraints of the interest arbitration process, it was not conceivable. Trying to merge 3 units with the time constraints of the rocket docket is just not possible. It's an impossible task for an arbitrator. The agreement was from August 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2023, and totaled approximately a 6% salary increase over the life of the agreement. They failed to present an expert witness to testify to the city's ability to pay, and they made changes to the proposals when only a language change was requested. They did make some critical errors there. So what are we going to talk about now? I have my opportunity to talk about the 2025 Collective Negotiation Seminar. I'm going to take every opportunity I can to promote this event. It was started by our great labor leader, George O'Brien. It was brought to new heights by Michael Freeman, our now executive vice president. And now here I am trying to keep this moving along and moving forward to make it better every year. This year's seminar is going to be held Tuesday, February 4th through Thursday, February 6th. We have a wide variety of topics we're going to speak about. We have a wide variety of speakers who are coming from different backgrounds. They bring a lot to the table. If you haven't been to this event, it's a great event, and I please ask you to get registered, as we have close to 200 people already registered, and we will sell out. So this was my presentation from the State PBA's convention in Nashville last month. What I did was added a QR code. So at this time, you can use that QR code, and it will take you back to this exact presentation. You can have it all. You can also find all of that information in the 2024 biennial report found on PERC's website. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. My email and my cell phone are listed there above. And I would just like to thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, please reach out any way possible. Thank you.